about you and your company.
All right, well, my name is Raul Arias. I'm Colombian, South America. My company is Trade Effects. Basically, is kind of like an academy down here in Colombia. Um, we work specifically on teaching our strategy. We trade, obviously, and mostly for the Latin America community. So, like, all my content in general is in Spanish. So, I've been doing that for over 5 years already. It's been a great journey, and well, now we're here.
Awesome. Bro, how many clients would you say you have?
How many clients as
Yeah, you said
students?
you've been trading for 5 years. How many students have you taught?
Wow. In my community itself, the VIP one, we got over 350 students.
Wow,
So it's
awesome, awesome.
kind of big, yeah.
And is it something where a student can come and take the academy, and is there, continued support? They'd have access to
Yeah.
continued education, or is it just kind of a one-time training boot camp?
No, I make it a family with my community. So we do have students that come every month. We focus more on the one-on-one mentorships, but then
Okay,
after that, it's like 4 sessions that we do, and after that, if they need another one, we'll go ahead and do it. But yeah, they keep. We got a community in Discord. We share, trades. We do, group sessions, backtesting sessions, and stuff. So it's not like just those sessions and that's it. Now we keep on following up with them.
got it. That's great. You said you have about 350 people in there, and then are you
Yeah.
guys live trading daily, or does anybody else trade? What's the format look like?
In our case, we don't do live trading too much, but we do have backtesting sessions, and there's like a way I do it, which is a pre-London type of session, so it's live. Basically, what we do is we go through the market setups and give them some sort of ideas for the next days, either the London session or the New York session. So
Awesome.
the way we trade is like they don't have to be in the London session to take a trade. So that's why we always kind of work on the pre-London sessions. It's always like
Awesome.
almost midnight New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Well,
that's
as we
that's
get a
what we
little
do.
deeper into the chat here, I'd love for you to show us some charts and maybe do a quick back testing session. But tell us your story. How did you get started in trading? Tell us about your upbringing. Where I knew you're from Colombia, right?
I am. I am. Well, it's been a long journey. I got in this business because of a friend of mine. I used to work on call centers down here in Colombia, or bilingual call centers, for Sprint. I don't know if you guys
Sure.
remember
Yeah,
that
we have
company.
Sprint.
So like we got a lot of friends there, and then there's a specific friend of mine. Those kind of friends that say, you know what, there's a way to make more money, and you could do it through trading. I didn't have any idea of it. We left it at that point. It was like, maybe sometime. So then after that, I kind of went on to cruise shipping, which was like another job that I did have. So I got the chance to travel around the world for not too long. It was about a year contract, two separate contracts in a year. And then when I was in Argentina, someday he reaches out again. He was telling me, I'm doing pretty good in this trading thing, and I think you should like it, and you might want to invest and stuff. And at this point, the story is all good because you got a friend that wants to push you and get you started and to make some extra money. So I was like, okay. I mean, I'm traveling, I'm not spending that much money because when you cruise ship or when you're working on cruise, you really don't spend much money. You travel, they pay you everything. It's nice. It's kind of like a tough job, but it's cool, right? You get to
Right.
travel. So I invested. I think it was $1,000 back then.
You with him. He traded
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, yeah. He's like, I'll receive you the investment, I'll trade it. Well, at that point, I didn't know that he didn't know anything about trading. I mean, he
Aha.
did know like the basics of it, but he needed, capital. Back then, we didn't have funding prop firms like we do right now with Surge and others. So, you just had to invest your own money. So he did invest it. I finished up my contract. It was like a 6-month contract. Came back to Colombia, and then I got reunited with him. And I asked him, teach me. I want to make money, whatever. And then he tells me at that point, I lost your money. So I was like,
Oh
what?
yeah.
So I was like, you know
All
what?
beginner traders lose the money, right?
Yeah. So I was like, why did you lose it? No, several things. Let's try it again. And I was like, well, I've been like into investing. You got to take risk, right? And If you're not willing to do that, then just don't invest. So I invested another $1,000, and then
With him,
it
same
was
thing, or
crazy.
you guys did it together?
No, we did together, but then at that point, when we started doing that trading, I didn't know much. I was just following up on him, and then like 3 days after, he pushed up the account from $1,000 to 4K, and wow, that kind of opened my eyes to like this is a very important business. We could make some money out of it, but at that point, I didn't know anything about risk management and none of that. Eventually, if you push an account from 1K to 4K in 3 days, there was no risk management. It was just
Right,
lucky.
right, absolutely,
um,
absolutely.
so we, so that kind of opened my eyes to it, and I was like, I need to learn more about this, and this guy's not gonna help me out. After another week, we lost that. I managed to get my investment back, but then the profits they all went out. So that was crazy, but I didn't realize that this was a good opportunity. So after that, I just kept working from Colombia. I didn't travel anymore, and ups and downs. It was not
What
easy at
industry
the
were you in
beginning.
at the time?
Call centers. That was like my
Okay, back
main.
to call centers. Got it. And so
Yeah,
you were
back to call
working
center.
locally, and
Yeah,
how did you learn? Did you find a mentor? Did you learn on your own?
we all have mentors, right? And I managed to get one after a long time. But I did start with YouTube courses, and there's some courses of ICT that that kind of helped me at the beginning. I did have a lot of gaps in between because it's a long strategy, but that kind of
Sure.
started helping me to get a better edge of the market. So yeah, kind of courses, mentors, all of everything. I can't really, I don't think anyone could say, I just saw a video and I learned. You got to learn from
Right.
someone, you
Right.
know.
Exactly. Or,
Um,
if they do, and I know some people who have, it's a much longer road. You could take years to do it that way on your own. Where if you find a mentor, you could cut that down, by a fifth, a
for
quarter.
sure,
You could really cut that down dramatically.
for sure. Yeah, I mean it's not fast, and you're gonna take more hits. So yeah,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
work with someone.
So tell me about your mentor. Who was it, and how'd you find him?
Well, I did find him through internet. I think that's the good thing about trading. You meet a lot of people, and I've met people. Even when I had a chance to travel to the States, I've stayed with students that I met just by internet. Really not a physical approach. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we got into that, and then he did teach me a lot of what I know already, and then I just had to put my piece of the puzzle, kind of try to make it my own. But yeah, like in general, it's
Nice.
bits of a lot of people, and just putting it in
Nice,
one.
nice. So describe for me the philosophy of Divi Trade. What is it? What's the strategy overall?
In general, I'll say it's price action. We
Mm-hmm.
did start, or I started working with the ICT concepts, and then they evolved into the smart money concept. In general, everything is price action, and
Right.
some people could be a fan of whatever concept they want, but I'm more focused in structure, liquidity, and then zones of interest or points of interest. Supply demand. That's basically my strategy, right? So it's price action in general.
Right. Got it. And then do you tie that with any fundamentals? You tie that with news? What are you looking for
Yeah,
externalities?
that's like an extra for me. I'm not into those fundamentals that much, to be honest. But yeah, we take them into consideration. For example, next week we got interest rates. We got a lot of things coming up
Yeah.
next
Busy
week,
week
so
next
we
week.
do have to. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty nice week. So yeah, we keep an eye on them, but mainly like my analysis is technical.
Awesome. Awesome. And then, so tell me a little bit about your journey from, when you first started as a non-profitable trader to becoming profitable. How long was that? What did it look like? What are some of the emotions that goes along with that?
Well, in my case, it took me over 3 years. And I've always say to my community when they ask me that, how long did it take you to be profitable? And I'll say, it took me 3 years because I wasn't disciplined. And it's not an easy process, but once you learn how to be disciplined, and it's not necessarily because the main focus that some people do give to trading is you got to learn a strategy, and then you're never going to lose, or probably you're going to lose a bit, and you're not going to make mistakes if you got the best strategy ever. And it got to a point in my case that I thought the way I was learning smart money concept, I thought it was the bomb, and this is the only way out. It's the holy grail. holy grail, and it's really not about the strategy. I mean, it helps. It's a tool, but it's more about management of risk. And your psychology goes steady when you got specific rules and you just got to follow them. So, like in my
Right.
case, when I started to get a trading plan, specific trading plan and rules, kind of like my emotions had nothing to do there. I know it happens that you win and you're happy, and probably you lose and you're gonna be a little bit upset. But when you get rules straight up, that works out perfectly. So in my case, it took me a lot because I wasn't disciplined. I really never had a plan, and I was jumping from one course to the other. So when I just got steady and I say, I just gotta make it simple. There's a verse from King Solomon. I don't know if you heard of him. It's in the
Sure.
Bible, but it did help me because he does mention that when you get more knowledge, just kind of make it a little bit summarized. When you get more knowledge, the more knowledge you get, the more wisdom, perhaps you might get more problems out of it. And in a good way, is like I understood it. Like if I just keep putting in my head a lot of courses, a lot of strategies, a lot of things in my head, I'm just in trouble because I don't even know what to choose. So like I'm putting myself in front of a chart every day, and then I don't know what decision to take because I just got a lot of probably confluence and whatever. So I decided to make it simple, remove a lot of things out of my head. You could ask me whatever I studied. I studied everything, market maker methods, charts, whatever. I'm not in my head with the English terms right now, but
No, sure,
there's
sure. Yeah, all the different types of strategies and
trend
schools of thought.
line, a bunch of things that just confuse me in the end. And I'm not saying like whatever the strategy you trade, as long as you make it simple and you understand it, you're good to go. If you have straight rules. So I learned with the time that it's not really the strategy, it's the way you make it simple. And if you got straight rules, that kind of helps a lot. So
Absolutely. I've seen that for years. So really any strategy can be a profitable strategy as long as you have discipline, you have risk management. So that's probably the biggest hurdle for people to overcome. They just want to add more and more and more to the charts. Once they simplify it, like you said, things become a lot clearer and they're able to maintain some profitability. So, okay, so you got clear, you removed all the nonsense. And then was it right away you started picking up and going profitable, or did it take some time? What was that journey like?
it took time because once you get the grind of a strategy and rules, then you just got to work your other part, which is risk management and then taking the trade. There's a lot of people that ask me, students, they're like, how did you build up to be confident in taking the trade and doing it on a consistent basis? And I always answer them back with the question on like if you know how to drive a car, how are you not afraid of driving a car after 4 or 5 years of driving it? And they're gonna say, because I just do it every single day. So it's like the same thing with trading. You just gotta, take action. And even though you might lose because that's part of the game, if you're risking, you're managing your risk, then everything's gonna be okay at the end of the month. So it's
Right.
kind of like that idea that more people block themselves, and like I can't do it, or if I lose, it's gonna hit me emotionally. But if they just execute every trade that their plan says is okay, then in the end, statistics is gonna be in their favor. So
Right.
that's
It's just a
that's
game of
trading
probabilities and statistics. Absolutely. Absolutely.
for
So,
sure.
okay, so
For
it took
sure.
you a couple years to get, from not having a good strategy to building a strategy to taking that strategy, getting the confidence to run the strategy, and now
Yeah.
you're neutral, or you becoming profitable at this point.
No, I'm profitable for sure.
Okay, no, no,
It's
I'm
all
saying like no, back in 3 years ago, once you kind of developed this strategy, when you were just trading for yourself, so you became profitable. And you said, I want to share this with others. How did you come? How did you
okay.
come on that path?
Well, starting teaching wasn't really like my main goal at the beginning, to be honest with you. But I started to do good, and then you got family, you got friends around you that know that you're doing good in what you're doing. So they kind of ask, you're always gonna have people around you say, if they see that you're doing good, they want to ask you, right? So you got a friend told a friend that I taught, I knew how to trade. She asked me to teach her, so I started teaching her. I really wasn't, I'm going to tell you what I do, but then I realized that teaching that person could have changed her life. So she started doing good and she made some profit. She came from binary options and a bunch of
Hmm.
things and changed her whole mindset. and then she was satisfied, and then she recommended it to another friend, and that friend to another. So it was kind of like a voice, cross promotion. I didn't even ask for that. And then, I realized that a lot of people were coming in. So I was like, maybe we should do something in general, like do a course or do something, because I don't want to be stuck in just teaching and then lose track of what I really like, which is
Right,
coaching,
right.
right? So that's how we started teaching. Like, people or friends around me liked what I did, and they saw results. And well, you know, it's over a big community now. And then after a time, when I started doing teachings and stuff, I did do like my first boot camp was back in 2017, around that time. No, 2019, almost getting into the 2020 pandemic year. And
Uh-huh.
I don't know, it happened. It was pretty weird because I did a course for like 10, 7, 8 people, not many. It was kind of like a private course. But then I realized after a few months, somebody had passed on that course to other people, and for free and stuff. And I was like, how did they get a hold of it? Eventually, somebody that paid the course liked it. They say, this course looks good. Have a look at it. It's for free. And then that's when I realized, a lot of people are liking it. So why didn't I just post it in my YouTube channel? So I started my YouTube channel, and I posted my first course all for free. And then a lot of people started looking at it. And then that's how we started to grow our Instagram little by little. People came, they asked about, they liked how we taught and whatever. And then, yeah, that's where we're at this point.
Awesome. Awesome.
Now with you
Well,
guys.
do you ever offer the course in English?
I did like some mentorships in English. I think I'm more into the one-on-one teachings. I could do that in English. I've done it.
Hmm.
Not like, I'll say, because mainly my whole social media is in Spanish, but I mean, like, my course, there's English subtitles on the video, so
Oh,
people
got
that
it. I
see it
understand.
could actually see it. But yeah, I mean, I've done mentorships in English before, and it's not an issue. I feel comfortable, but it's
Awesome.
not like
Great.
my
Well, thank you.
main.
Yeah, no, of course, of course. Well, especially, you're in Latin America, that, you have to cater to the community there. But
Yeah.
it sounds like you've got a great course. There's a whole, other world of people who I'm sure would love to, be involved with it as well. So it's nice to know that it's in subtitles. So that's great. So now, you've established yourself. You've got a great course. You've got a great community. You've got a good online presence. You're doing well in trading. I know you've got a family. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And now you've partnered with us here at Surge to do some help roll out our Latin America efforts. So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Man, it's been a great journey with you guys. I'm pretty happy, and not just because I'm here, just mentioning it and whatever. But I got the chance to meet you guys a few months ago in Miami, and it was a great time. We went to a game, we had some drinks, we eat, and what I really liked about Search, I liked the program in general, because I was telling Garrett the other day, it's like, I think if I didn't really like the program, it would have been much difficult to kind of promote it. But I really like the people behind the company. You guys, you show yourself how you are, and it's quality people, which I really love, and nothing to hide. Most prop firms probably don't show who their CEO is, who the people behind it is, and I got the chance to meet from all the people behind customer service or marketing, whatever, and the CEOs, you guys, like, everyone was there, and it was a nice experience. So it's been beautiful ever since. And now, bringing the search trader to the Latin America, it's something new for most people in Latin America, because there's other platforms at the moment. But I think people are starting to like the fact that there's no time limits. It's a one phase. You could even request your payment, and on the first day you make profits on your funded account.
Right,
So
right.
a lot of things in search I do like, and that just lets me know, that this is real, because a lot of people might not know this, but mainly in some platforms, whenever you pass the challenge, they say it's funded, but they actually give you a demo account. And like in search, I know that it's real money. So
Right. That's a big differentiator for us. We have our interests are highly aligned with the trader's interest. All of the capital is real capital. So anywhere else you're going to be trading in a demo account the entire time, and when you make money, they're paying out on revenue. With Surge, when you make money in the markets, we're paying out on your market success. So we have highly aligned interests. So that's a great part of it. Well, I want to take a step and jump back to kind of when you went from trading your own money to when you went to trading with a prop firm. So tell me the story. I would imagine you had a smaller account back then. Tell me kind of what happened and how you discovered prop and what it's changed for you.
Well, I started with real capital because there was no prop firms at that time. So I've been really happy working my own capital. But with prop firms, it was a tool, and that's something that I think we spoke in Miami. People has to see this as also a tool, a great tool to kind of make their own money as well, right? And the good thing about the prop firms itself is that you don't really have to risk your own money. The only thing you're really risking is what you pay for the addition, right? But other than that, once you get funded, in my case personally, it did change a lot because in reference to confidence, like, because I was, with over 100K or whatever the amount was, I knew that wasn't my money. So it's not like I was going to be irresponsible on managing it, but it's like, it leaves some pressure out. And that's what some people have when they invest probably a small capital. I've seen, especially in Latin America, getting 100K, 50K account, 200K account is almost impossible for a lot of people. If we talk about majority, a lot of people won't have that capital to invest it in a broker and then move it. Now with the prop firms, that does help a lot because I did start with a small capital, and then with the prop firm, I got a chance to kind of, make it a big step in my trading journey and also the profits and stuff. So it is a big changer
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
our
And
choice.
how did you so going from trading your own account? I know you had a risk management strategy. I know you had a trading plan, but going from your own account, there's really no guide rails. I mean, you could blow the whole account up if you didn't have the right discipline. But to going to a prop firm where you have those guide rails, you have the max drawdowns, you have the trading rules. How did you adjust to that, and was it difficult?
It was way too difficult. I gotta tell you, I burned a lot of accounts in that process. And the funny thing is that
Why? Why do you think that is?
the time and the thing here is that when you have that rule specifically against you, the time limit, it in some way makes you think that you suck as a trader, right? Because you're like, I'm not making 10%, 8% in a month in 30 days, which is normally the two-phase thing.
Hmm.
So what really does happen, what really did happen with me was that I was trading, with my proper risk management, my strategy, my rules, and whatever. But then the time was a whole pain, right? It was not easy because of that. So I lost a lot of challenges because of time. So like it was like probably my last day, and I was missing, I don't know, whatever percentage of it, and I just went like too hard in it, and then I burned it, right? And then that made me feel at that point like, probably I'm not doing things right. Probably I'm not as good as I think I am, or
It dashes your confidence, right?
for sure, for sure. And then that really was hard. It took me a lot of tries to get funded back then because of the limit of time. So that really sucks. But then when we got it, it was like, okay, I think we got a good month. It was a December. Most people don't trade Decembers probably because it doesn't move a lot. But in my
Hmm.
case, I think ever since then, I love Decembers. 'Cause I think it's a steady market. It's not, that crazy. But I managed to got funded on a December, so it was cool. Even though it's not the most moved month of the year. So yeah.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. That's great. So, okay. So you got funded. You're in a funded account now. You passed the challenge and you're trading with, a much larger sum of capital than you ever have. How has that reflected in your profitability? Are you percentage wise, are you the same? Dollars wise, are you the same? What has it changed for you from an outcome perspective?
In money wise, let's say it's more, but percentage is basically the same. And that's another thing with people. They think because it's a bigger account and or a smaller account, like they get shocked because of the amounts. But if you look at it in percentage, in my case personally, it's much easier because the 5% a month or 3% a month, you can make it, or even a 2%. And if you are able to make that on a monthly basis, you are profitable. You're consistent. The difference is that 2 or 3% from a million account to a 5K account is
Yeah,
in and
right,
out,
right, exactly.
different
That
percentage, the
that's
same
the
way.
game changer.
Exactly. So it's like it's the same game, it's the same strategy, the same thing. The only thing is the percentage, right? And people get shocked with that. I'm not sure too much in the English community, but for sure in the Latin community, it's a big hit because people in Latin America do have they're different currencies, right? In America it's U.S. dollars and that's it. But in our case, like um, whatever dollar change into my currency, it could be good money. And if you lose that and you convert it into money, then that might hit you, right? So it's like it's funny, but that's the way it works. It's just percentage wise is the easiest way to see how to manage any account, whether it's a prop firm or real account. It's much easier that way.
Right, absolutely, and that goes back to discipline and having a trading plan, and making sure you're following that trading plan.
Exactly, exactly.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Raul, if you I thank you so much for giving us the backstory, and it's great to have you on board. We're super excited for what's to come. Can you run us through some of your technicals, some of your charting?
Yeah, for sure. Let me go ahead and share my
Awesome,
screen.
thank you.
Um, there you go. All right, so I'm mainly a forex trader. I do have a look at CFDs like US 30 and Nasdaq and stuff, and gold, even gold as well. Commodities here, but I'm mainly like a forex trader. My main pair is Euro Dollar, AU, and GU. And
Hmm.
maybe we go over a trade, two trades that came out this week, pretty nice. And I'll walk you through my process in a quick way. I don't want to take too long for people to get bored. But basically, what I mentioned to you previously, I'm more of a structure, liquidity, and points of interest or supply demand specifically. The way we do it, or the way I do is, every move has a trend. It could be a downtrend, it could be an uptrend, right? So I'm
Hmm.
mainly focused on a daily basis. I'm more of an intraday trader. So I'm focused on all the time frames, but specifically a daily 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute. That's the lowest I go is a 15 minute time frame. I don't go lower than that. Why? To be honest, because in my case, lower time frame is driving me a little bit crazy. And I think
Too
there's a
much
lot
noise
of
in there, right?
Oh, for sure. So like, I'm more into identifying what my structure for the day could be, identifying the liquidity which I can find, and I'll mention that in just a moment how I see it and how I get to see it better, and then like my points of interest, right? So basically, whatever the trend I'm in, right, I'm always looking for to either work the pullback or the next push, whether it's to the downside or to the upside, right? So in that process of identifying my most recent structure or fractal, I always identify liquidity and then I try to put my entry because I'm more of a programming type of guy. So I use
Hmm.
buy limit and sell limits a lot. I'm not kind of like to be in the market or in the session and just executing manually, right? I program my trades. I feel more comfortable that way because I got enough time to think about it. And wherever I'm gonna program my trade, I'm always gonna be, I'm always gonna have a higher time frame background. So I'll show you in just a moment, like two trades I took on euro dollar this week, starting the week. So basically, I always identify structure, and I use one indicator specifically or one type of chart to identify structure better, and that's just me, which is Heikki Nachi. I don't know if you heard about this type of charts before. Have you ever heard of this or not?
Well, your mic cut out for a sec. Can you say it again?
Yeah, like for structure wise, I use Heikki Nachi. I don't know if you've heard
Sure,
of it.
sure. I'm familiar with it.
So basically, Heikki Nachi for me is like two candles on a counter side, and then a push that defines me a recent structure, right? So basically, on the euro dollar, we had a downtrend or last push to the downside, which is all this move for me. I know that's a lot of info because eventually the price moves on a daily candle, right? A candle has four aspects. It has an open, it has a high, it has a low, and it has a close. So like basically for intraday type of guys, we're normally working on, one daily candle a day, right? It's not like I have a whole move to the downside on the daily time
Right.
frame and I'm just working a whole move. No, because I'm working on a daily candle. I'm trying to see specifically what the low, if I could go into, if it's gonna be a bullish day, where the low of that candle is gonna be specifically, and trying to kind of get that push of the day, or if it's a down candle, like where that high of the day is going to be, and then get that push down, just to get the best movement throughout the day. And it could be a London session or a New York session. And to be honest, I'm not. I sometimes take trades when I'm sleeping, because here in Colombia, and I know in the States as well, to do a London session is really difficult because in my case it's like at 1 a.m. New
Right.
York like 2 a.m., so it's pretty late. And then you gotta wake up at 7 to do the New York session, so it's difficult. So that's why I ended up, putting my strategy into a pre-London review, and then if I see anything, I'll just program it, right? So this is what happened. I was in a downtrend on the euro dollar. Heikki Nachi tells me, this is the last move. So I might as well be working throughout the week, the whole retracement, perhaps, right? Now, in that retracement, I'm always interested in, with every time frame, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour specifically, like where is the liquidity? Now, in my case, liquidity, I find it in two ways, and I know people might see it in a different way I do, but in my case, for me, liquidity is represented in either equal highs, equal lows, which is something that's popular and out there, right? But also what's swing highs and swing lows. So real quick, what a swing high is basically a three candle formation in which the candle in the middle, its high determines to be that's a swing high, and same thing for the swing low. So just to be quick on that, everything is in my course. But basically, when the week started, we had this high over here, right? Now let me just go back a bit so that people won't get lost in this explanation. This is Tuesday. I think down here. I'll just leave it. So when the week started, I was bearish, but I did have a probability for price to go up and take out this high. This is liquidity. Now, if you look at the line chart as well, because that's also like a kind of like a confluence for me as well in reference to structure. Heikin Achi is bearish, but then the lines start to give you little breaks to the upside, like in this case. So I was like, probably we could go ahead and look for the pullback of the week and take out this high. This was my main goal for the week, this high specifically. And we did have some news, I think, yesterday or the day before, I'm not sure. I don't remember. And I was just looking for price to go for this high in general, right? Now, 4 hour time frame, and then we did have like the whole week started on Monday. That's yeah, so around this day. Normally, I don't trade Mondays. I think Mondays are good, but I like the market to kind of settle up, and then after
Sure.
that,
Find some direction and some stability.
yeah, kind of like that. So, but in general, like if you see the 4 hour time frame, if you combine it with Heikin-Achi, I'll give you a little hint here. Like whenever you're doing a replay or backtesting on TradingView, and you want to use Heikin-Achi to kind of identify structure and not lose the replay, you could use that indicator. There's an indicator called Heikin-Achi, right? And then it appears down here. So you could always compare the structure at the same time with the candle markups and stuff. So it's just a little hint there.
Got it. Nice.
So in the 4 hour time frame, we did have a bullish break. If you look at Heikin-Achi, we had this last push to the downside and then this to the upside, which it made me break structure all the way to the upside. So that kind of led me to understand that eventually we were going to make a higher high. That's what I was expecting for the week. But I didn't. After I identified that, I do need to know like specifically what my points of interest will be, and where the liquidity that's in the market, or at least that setup I'm going to take. So for me, 4 hours was just pretty clear this week. I wanted to buy, and I needed to identify my points of interest. That's the third part about my strategy. So my points of interest are mainly wicks. I don't know if you noticed this before, but I like a lot the fact of looking at wicks or areas that haven't been touched before. or eventually zones that are clean to my
Mm-hmm.
eye, right? Like clean. So I did have two areas, or one area specifically when the week started, and it was this one right here. For smart money lovers or ICT lovers, they would understand that this is like an FBG imbalance, or order block with an imbalance in general. And this whole area in general was the area that I was expecting to participate in the market in order to get myself all the way up here, right? Now, the market is not going to push immediately to the upside. It could go back, it could do whatever, but in the end, I was expecting this area to hold, right? It could have stopped me out and break me out, it doesn't matter. But in general, this was a good song. Why? Because it did have imbalance before. Right now, it didn't because price already mitigated it, but it was a good area. And right below this area, because this is also could have been liquidity, we didn't have much of anything, like nothing interesting right there. So that's why I was focused on this specific area. So on Monday, when the days finish, price did show me something on the 1 hour time frame. Once the price tap in my zone, I'm always looking for it to look at the same exact thing. My only setup in general will be something like this. Price to take out liquidity. If I'm looking at a bullish structure or fractal, I always like the very low edge of the structure itself to take liquidity out and then push back up. And this is kind of like a W formation. I call it W, but it's just basically price taking out liquidity and pushing back up, right? So in the 1 hour time frame, I'll go right there into it. If I put it in the line chart, you're gonna see something like this. It's like a W formation. Price took out liquidity and broke. So I like this. When fractal starts this way, I like it because for me it's like a start of a probably new push to the upside, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I got that on the 1 hour time frame, I got that liquidity taken out, and then again, looking at my Heikin Achi, you could notice that the 1 hour time frame always also broke structure, right? It broke structure right here. So we got the same thing on the 4 hour, like the whole picture of the 4 hour, but also in the 1 hour time frame. So it repeats itself. It's just that price is fractal, so you can see it in any time frame specifically, right? So my first trade of the week was this one. Price broke this structure on the 1 hour time frame, and my idea was to identify liquidity itself. So liquidity again is swing lows, swing highs, or equal lows, equal highs. I also use the Asia session. Asia session for me is from 5 p.m. New York all the way up to the midnight. So around that time zone, I don't trade, but mainly price kind of builds up liquidity for the future sessions, London and New York. So we did have the Asia session. And normally what price does, not every single day, but mainly what it does, it takes out the Asian lows or the Asian highs and does a push, right? It's like the first thing I look at after having my structure. So I did have this Asian low liquidity. And if I wanted to participate in the market, it was going to be below that liquidity in a specific point of interest, right? One thing that I also like is for my liquidity to be really close to my point of interest. So if you look at this specific scenario, I had another thing just like the 4 hour time frame. We had an order block right here, which had imbalance, right? And this was like my zone where I was going to participate. I really don't care about like low stop loss. I know a lot of SMC, ICT lovers, especially MCC, they love lower stop loss, like 2, 3 pips, whatever. I'm not into that because I feel like sometimes price needs to breathe a little bit. So I'm
Sure.
more into 5, 6, 8. The most is like 15 pip stop loss. Right? In my trading plan, that's how I have it. And if
And
you
then
want to
what's the risk or reward on that? What's the R's you're looking for?
normally I look out for 1, 2, 1, 3, 4.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of high R's. I know price gives them out, but I like consistent results. So it's like,
Sure.
why would I want a 110 on one trade when I can make several throughout the week, and I can make that. It's just to understand the fact that if you have a setup and price is paying you, why not take profits out of it? It's not like the only day you're gonna take a trade, right?
Right.
But no, it's just like my way of seeing it. So I did have this trade, but the liquidity of Asia was pretty far away from my zone, and I like extremes. If that's to summarize it, I just like extremes. So I have my whole setup, and then my point of interest mainly is at the very extreme, unless there's really nothing at like in the extreme and you got something in the middle like we had on the 4 hour time frame. So basically I had this, but I do like liquidity to be open. So I sent this out to to some of my students. I was like, I was expecting liquidity. Then price was gonna grab that and then up. So if I had the built up liquidity really close to my point of interest, I was gonna go ahead and take the trade, right? But that I didn't have it when I was looking at the, the pre-London for me, right? So when price doesn't have liquidity below it, sometimes you could have the low of your structure of your setup. It could be a liquidity for what we call smart money trap. So like smart money traps or traps is basically price. I don't know if it has happened, and I think some people might be familiar with that. You have an entry, and whatever the zone it is, price kind of taps you in, brings it a little bit lower, stops you out, and then goes up. It's pretty common with
Sure.
trading. Like
Oh yeah.
you're looking for that nice setup, price cleans you up and then goes back up. So that's something I understood, and we do have smart money traps. Only two things that I look at for traps or for entry specifically is wicks, like I mentioned before, that have never been touched, clean, or order blocks, specifically the open order block that hasn't been touched. So if you look at this, there's no liquidity down here. So I was like, I'm not gonna take a direct trade because I program trades directly. But if I don't have liquidity, I'm not gonna do that. However, if there's something below my low, if there's any wick, any specific open price on a regular order block, then I might be able to take an entry and understand that as a smart money trap. So I want you guys to have a look here at this specific wick right here. This wick is completely clean, right? It hasn't been touched. It is a demand zone for me, or if you want to call it that way. And I was gonna say, this is the perfect scenario because price is breaking structure to the upside in the 1 hour. We are bullish in the 4 hour time frame. We're looking for that pullback on the daily, and this is like my main goal right here. The whole reason why this high is my main goal is because it took a lot of time to build up that push, right? But it never broke anything, like nothing in the daily, nothing in the 4 hour. It didn't break structure itself. It's just a high that made a try to push itself down, but it never broke anything. So it's a weak high for me. So that's liquidity, right? A lot of people might be waiting for a sell around here. Not my case, because I was thinking, from the very beginning of the week that this is my first objective of the day. So of the week itself. So basically, I had the whole scenario, and then we did just decided to program this because I really wanted to go to sleep. I don't, stay up in London because that's gonna kill me to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We use like 11 pip stop loss in this specific scenario. I'm gonna put 11 pips, and then we just left it there. My main goal on this one was a 1, 2, 1, 3, whatever it could give me. I always wait until the end of the session of New York, which is like 11 a.m. Eastern, and if we have that, then we're good. So this is what happened. I went to sleep. Noticed that the price was coming down to my first area where I wanted to take a trade, but there's really no liquidity buildup. And liquidity buildup in general is like getting people in before time. It's like I don't know if you notice, but price taps, let's say a zone, it kind of makes you think that's gonna go up, but then it pushes you out, and then it really goes up. So that's what we call inducements, right? So I wasn't even awake by that time. I think what time was it? Oh yeah, I was awake already, but I didn't see any inducement here. Like no liquidity. Look at the next candle. Like nothing that show me interest in inducing me to go up, right? No liquidity buildup. So I was just still waiting for this setup, and look at this. It's beautiful. Price came in, tapped the area that was completely clean, nothing, not tested before, and then it just went up, right? So that was like the test that we did, and then the session did end like around here. It wasn't like a very high ratio, 1 to 2. We did take
Hmm.
some partials here because that was the end of the session, and then we had another scenario around that same zone for the next day. So same thing. I always wait for the Asia session to end, which is around midnight, which is this one, right? And then again, I was like, okay, I'm in this trade. I already took a partial for the 1 to 2. And what's the partial I take? 80% of whatever I'm in. I'll take it, and then I'll just put myself on break even, and then I'll just let it be, right? So the next day, I saw that the same area was holding. Look at 4 hour once again. It's like holding the same area, no changes at all. It probably looked at price wanted to kind of break down, but it was holding. The whole scenario in general is bullish in 4 hour. I'm still looking for this liquidity, and in this case, when the Asia session ended, I decided to go into the 15-minute time frame, and I was looking for the exact same thing. What's the exact same thing? Go into Heikki Nachi, wait for a break to the upside. If you look at Heikki Nachi, you got to break that up here, this one right here. And then again, once we got that break, same thing. Where's my liquidity? Where could I get my entry, whatever? And then, all this move was the 15-minute move. We did have liquidity here, well, here specifically, here, and then here. Like swing lows, equal lows. Those are specifically my liquidity points, right? That's how I see it easier. Because when I started with this, people talk about liquidity and whatever, but they weren't too specific on it. So this is the
Hmm.
way. Equal lows, swing lows, those are liquidity points because they push the market up, but they didn't make much of a difference, right? So once I have this, I always look for a point of interest that's pretty clean, right below the liquidity. And one tip that I did not mention before is if you don't find anything like so clean on the same time frame that you got this set up, then just go up one or two time frames and see below the liquidity that you're marking if there's any clean wick or any open price of a regular order block, right? So this is just quick things. I went up to the 30-minute and I found that below this first point of liquidity, I had this clean wick right here. It's pretty clean. And then below this other one, we had this little wick that was pretty clean. So just have an eye on that, and then we're gonna go one more time frame up just to compare if we have any confluence between those points that I'm marking. If you look at the liquidity that I marked down here and below it, in the 1 hour time frame, there's really no wick or no order block right there, nothing at all, just a regular imbalance. But then if you look at the second liquidity that's down here, right below it, the 1 hour time frame and the 30-minute time frame had a confluence on that specific wick. It was completely clean, not tested before, really nice. And then the other liquidity was this one at the extreme. I love extreme trades. Again, that's my setup specifically. And I just decided to put a trade down here. This was on Wednesday, right? And we did have a trade down here. And I always like to cover down my low. Always check if you have a smart money trap, like any wick below it whatsoever, or any order block that hasn't been tapped. But all this move from the day before had already tapped in the smart money trap that we identified. So I was not worried about price, like kind of grabbing more liquidity and pushing myself up. I wasn't worried about that, to be honest. So I just programmed the other trade right after the Asian session ended. Went to sleep, and this is what happened during the London session. As I was asleep, price tap in, gave me a little bit of drawdown, and then this is what happened, right? So what happened was the trade that I had from the day before got stopped out and break even. Well, not stopped out, I got break even. And then this second trade went up, really nice, right? And then we got a first target, which is this Asian high. This was more of a 1 to 4. When I woke up and stuff, I already took trades, like the profits out here. And then
Hmm.
I, took the 80% out and then just let it go. And let's see if it did go towards the end of the week, if it did reach out my target in general, what I had at the beginning of the week. See, it did. Look at that. I didn't take a
Nice,
trade
beautiful
yesterday.
setup.
It just let me out yesterday, but I did manage to kind of roll with this one, and I got into my objective of the week. So that's basically, long. Sorry to make it long, but
No, no, it was wonderful.
just
You're great at explaining it. The detail was perfect.
thank you, thank you. So yeah, it's like an easy way. There's more details into it, but in general, I always look for the same setup, summarize it, structure, liquidity, and points of interest. That's all I look
So
for.
you're going to be taking what a couple trades a week,
Yeah,
maybe less?
yeah. I
Got it.
take like 1 to 4 or 5 trades a week. I don't take more than that. Like this week we took two, and then I had a trade on gold running today, which is this one. I still have it running, and it's basically the same thing. Just really quick. Price on gold today. Grab this liquidity. The whole structure in general, from higher time frame, daily specifically, we're actually on a bearish move or bearish order
Mm-hmm.
flow, and then 4 hours giving me also little breaks to the downside, like down here. You look at the line chart, kind of guide yourself in making higher highs. I mean, lower highs, lower lows, and stuff. So I was expecting kind of like a sell on gold, and I look at this morning right before we even got connected. Price grabbed this liquidity right here, and then we did have a nice setup on the 15-minute time frame, which was this one specifically. Same exact thing. You look at Heikki Nachi real quick. If you have a break to the downside, we do have it like down here. This is our last move on the 15-minute. I always like to focus on liquidity itself. So in my case, this high was liquidity, like the main liquidity that I had, and then I decided to go one time frame up, or two. If you go to the 30-minute time frame, I'm always looking for a clean wick or a clean point of interest. 30-minute, we really didn't have anything clean, no order block there or no wick clean. But on the 1 hour time frame, I did find this beautiful setup right here. I had this clean wick right here, and then I decided to put my sell right down up here. And then in gold, I'm not of a 5-10 pip fan. On gold, we use 20 pips or 30 pips of stop loss. In this specific one, I use 25. No specific reason, just a standard stop loss that I like to use. Because if I put it like right up here, it was gonna be a 65 pip stop loss, and that's not in my plan. Gold is only 25 to 30 pips of stop loss from me. So I just decided to put a standard 25, and if it was gonna stop me out, I really didn't care. I was profit for the week. So this week we had 3 trades with the gold one, and I'm in it right now. I'm still so as a 1 to 2 already. I'll be thinking of taking some partials after this session, but so far I'll just let it go. So far.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. That's
Awesome.
me, like my way of seeing markets.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the perspective. It's looks like you've learned a lot, and you're great at explaining it. You're highly articulate. So thank you. So Raul, I just again thank you for joining me today. It's been a great learning with you and seeing kind of how you do things in your school. We're super excited here at Surge to have you on board and doing these sessions more often with us. So we will see you soon, and I hope that goal works out for you. And hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Take care, man. Thanks so much.
All
Bye
right,
bye.
bye-bye.